All right, Colin. I guess we're live. This is the Precious Metals Hangout. Colin Hayward and Rusty's Metals. Precious Metals Hub. What's going on, Colin?
I'm out in beautiful sunny Southern California, trying not to get into too much trouble. Pretty nice right now. How
Are you
about you?
running out of water?
Yeah, we're in stage one, stage two droughts out here. People are, watering their landscape with their bath water and all that kind of stuff. It's getting to that point where even the local uh, local government is going to try to restart a desalination plant.
Well,
Believe it
that's
or not,
awesome.
that's been yeah. The only problem is it's been the last time when they built it 20 some odd years ago. It was right after the last major drought, and the next year El Nino came back, and they had more rain than they knew what to do with.
Yeah.
So I'm predicting I'm predicting they're going to spend $5 million, restart this new desal plant, and next winter, it's going to be a deluge.
They'll forget about it. Yeah, I understand how it works.
Yeah,
I
that's
grew
how
up
it
in
works.
California, so I know everything about California. But
it's it's crazy.
well, everything seems to be crazy lately. It looks like the powers that be are trying to start a world war. The Germans can't get their gold back still, and the finance ministry, BaFin, is going after Deutsche Bank with $76 trillion in derivatives, which is 20 times the GDP of Germany. So that's
That,
led to a whole slew of things. The Deutsche Bank has stepped out of the gold and silver fix. Um, what else? Barclays just got sued or slapped on the hand for $44 million for gold manipulation. It's been announced that the silver fix is ending in August, and we don't know what's going to happen to the prices of gold and silver and who's going to control the prices. What do you say to that?
yeah, it's one of those things like to be continued as far as how the spot price is going to be created, I guess, after the August date that they threw out there.
Mm.
Um, I know that I read something where some Indian gold traders were all worried about how they were going to know what the value of an ounce of gold was if they didn't get the AM and the PM fix, right?
Yeah,
And it seems as if it doesn't, to me and you, there's no question it could easily be set through even some of these Shanghai Gold Exchange or one of these places. Why not? It's going to happen sometime, and we know it's going to blow up in the London market and the COMEX, and sooner the better, and we can start having people who have got all the gold, set some sort of price for it on a real true supply and demand basis, rather than this completely manipulated market. So uh, it's going to happen, and it's too bad. But now I trust the Shanghai Gold Exchange more than I trust London or New York by far.
true. Where they're holding all these derivatives and they were manipulating the price by printing contracts. Um, and it has to end. Germany knows what hyperinflation is. They felt it, and I think that's why they're going after these people. That this cannot continue because you are not going to do this to our people again, whatever, so on and so forth. The Weimar Republic is not returning in Germany. Um, but the word on the street is recently um, the CME. The Chicago Mercantile Exchange is going after uh, the possibility of controlling this price fixing. Obviously, the big banker, the central bankers all the way around the planet are looking to uh, get a new plan and then be the saviors. But I think you're right. The Shanghai Gold Exchange is probably the best option because they are actually backed by gold,
Yeah.
and that seems to be the best way to go about this free market enterprise that we're looking for.
How much do you think uh, or do you think it happened at all where the Asian countries, you pick your whatever you want, but how much do you think they're in there manipulating the price down on gold, particularly, uh,
Well,
versus just
there is a currency war, and part of that war is um, bank failures. And an easy way for these countries to uh, make these banks, the Western banks, insolvent is to go after their, um, these derivative. Uh, they're just stacked so high on derivatives. It's something. Well, I mean, we don't even know. We do know now that the Deutsche Bank has $76 trillion in derivatives. Um, but we're not sure what J.P. Morgan is holding. We're not sure what Goldman Sachs is holding. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all the way down the line between commodities derivatives, swap derivatives, mortgage-backed securities, blah 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 blah, all the way down the line. Someone said it's at least 250 quadrillion, and that's that's insane. So an easy way to go, these Russia, China, India, Iran, Syria, South Africa, an easy way for these guys to go after the Western banking system itself is their crutch, which is gold and silver. And I think that's happening right now.
okay, that kind of answers the question. So do you think that there's some sort of do you think there's a timeline involved with all this right now that you've been able to pick up on, or is it just kind of being rolled
Well,
out?
I remember last year we thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen last year.
Sure, I did too.
So who knows how long they can just keep printing money and swapping money back and forth between banks to keep them afloat. Um, but here's the thing: we're in the same situation. It's getting worse. We got to be getting closer to the end game, no matter what. Um, for instance, how crazy is this? They come out a few weeks ago saying that the GDP grew by a tenth of a percent. That's crazy, right? How do they come up
Yep.
with that number? It's so minuscule of growth. But then yesterday they come out and revise it and say it's actually negative 1%. So 10 times worse than we thought. And the S&P made new highs. What the hell is going on?
Well, and I'll throw my 2 cents in, which is they always lie by about a factor of 3. So
Okay.
if they're willing to admit to -1 GDP, it's really -3.
Right. Exactly. And they're printing not what is it they're printing
Well, they say they're
uh
printing.
what did they say they printing the money?
They say they're putting like 45 billion a month right now.
Okay, so 3 times that. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's
I,
about that in
I'll,
reality.
I'll go with that. That is the new reality. The government
Yeah.
lies by 3 to 3%.
three, yeah, three, a factor of three.
Factor of three. All right. So I can go along with that. That
Well,
makes a lot
just
of
it,
sense.
when you over the course of time, it seems to me that that's, they don't, what they do is, in my opinion, these guys have gotten so blatant over the past 20 years. They can get away with anything because they've got the backup with the media and the propaganda, and they don't get called on it. It doesn't matter, and so why not shoot for three times the truth, uh, or one third of the truth, however you want to slice it, because it just goes away in a couple of days, even if anybody questions it to begin with. And so now they're already, they're revising stuff by a factor of 10, like you said, a factor of 10, or it might be even, I don't know what is plus zero point 0.1 to negative 1. I mean, it's maybe worse than 10. I don't know. But we're living in 1984 times when the government and the powers that be get to say whatever they want and shove it down our throats. And like you said earlier in our pre conversation prior to going live, nobody really gives a damn, particularly in the United States. So it's easy then.
Yeah, it seems like the rest of the world is more awake than the people here, um, which is just mind-boggling. Because um, what are they going to do to us? I mean, it's just it's scary to think if we actually, if I say 10% of Americans actually give a crap and actually know what's going on. 10%. Now, if that grew to 30%, what are we going to have NATO troops patrolling the streets? I'm just what this is lunacy.
Well, you may have read some of the same kind of books that I've read, possibly, where you've got the blue-helmeted, NATO guys coming in to restore order and clean out the radical people. I mean, it's not,
The
unfortunately,
terrorists.
yeah, exactly, the domestic terrorists. It's not that far-fetched, obviously. We see little bits of it happening here and there and all over the place.
Mm.
You connect the dots, and this is where you go. It's not that hard, really. I think
Yeah.
that there's a lot of questions that just don't have good answers. Like, why did the federal government buy humongous amounts of ammunition for the postal service or something like that? They were buying like billions of rounds of ammunition, and they were going to like branches of the government that God didn't even know they had a gun. So
Yeah. Well, I refer to the government as not the government anymore. It is the corporation of America because they don't care about the people. That we are just we're just to feed them everything. We work for them. We pay our debts to them. It's the corporation. And if you look at all the scandals going on, it's just amazing. Benghazi, IRS Gate, blah, blah, blah. There's like 10 different scandals going on, but no one gets in trouble. Absolutely nothing is done about it. So
well, and that's
they just hope for us just to forget about it. Oh, everything's okay now. I trust the government again. Whatever.
well, absolutely. I mean, people are too you know they're too drugged out, and they're too look how many people are getting some sort of government assistance. It's the numbers are huge,
I know.
and
Check this out, just to put it in perspective for people. I know no one's listening right now. They'll probably listen to this later. There's 50 million people taking food stamps, but the government says, no, excuse me, not the government. The corporation says that we only have what 6% unemployment. Are you kidding me?
yeah, yeah.
Just by that rationale alone, I mean, people have to know You take one, and then you take the other, and figure out it doesn't match up. It's
Well,
crazy.
well, the average person in the street. I mean, you may have seen those crazy things with that Jay Leno used to do in terms of interviews of these
Oh yeah,
people. Just the average person. I mean, let's face it. If you asked the average person who the vice president of the United States was, they wouldn't know.
right.
If if and it's worse than that. You know, they wouldn't. That's just the beginning. If they don't know that, then you're just going downhill from there.
I
And
know.
the average person doesn't know that the vice president of the United States is Joe Biden. So
Yeah,
they don't, and they haven't read the business section of even a paper, which is going to be all bad information. They haven't read that in ever.
yeah. Um, I don't know. It's
Well, I mean, I think what they're doing seems to be classic. I mean, the government seems to be doing classic stuff in order to keep everybody appeased, and they've got the total complicity of the media, which doesn't call them on anything. And um, you know, ever since it's kind of like the media now thinks they're kingmakers. They can keep anybody in office or kick anybody out they want to, and they're on the side of socialism and even worse. So that's the problem that the United States of America has right now.
yeah. I'm not. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure if we're gonna make this out. Make. Um, lots of people talk about rebellion. Fix America. This is a republic. Blah 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 blah. I don't. I know there's a lot of people that talk about this stuff, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. This is. I mean, if we fought back at all, I mean, here comes the UN troops or a false flag event, blaming it on some country, and then we're off to war again. I
You
don't know
mean
what's
you
going to
mean
happen.
you mean Americans rebelling against the government?
Yeah, changing the or
Right.
uh, whatever happens. I don't know. Kicking out the whole federal government. That's what needs to happen.
Well, I know. I'm actually on the same page you are. Unfortunately, I don't think that the discrepancy in firepower to literally do it is so huge that I mean now you've got almost every semi-major and every major for sure every police department and so forth in the whole country. They've been militarized,
Yeah,
and you know you got that plus you've got the regular army. I mean the problem is that the average citizens are not going to be able to defeat anywhere close to uh, a um, the federal government's military. The only hope that anybody would ever have is that uh, that you'd have the military stand down, against the people. And I don't. And that's a difficult bet to make, I think, because it's not the likely bet is not that they're going to do that.
yeah, they've been indoctrinated and brainwashed to follow orders, quite literally.
Right.
And everything's so compartmentalized. One guy doesn't know what the other guy's doing, so no one knows, and there's no collaboration. Um, it's I mean everything's set up that way.
Uh-huh.
I mean they did a good job of brainwashing everyone in this country, and it only took about 30 years.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Because we're a democracy now. We're a democracy, and the Congress doesn't have. It's amazing. We're over there in the Ukraine, and I live here in Arizona, and we have a senator. His name is John McCain. John McCain went to the Ukraine, visited with the Nazis, um, 6 or 7 times. I mean, is John McCain the ambassador to the Ukraine now or something? I mean, everything is so weird. And then we don't declare anything in Congress anymore. It's NATO. NATO makes the military calls now. You know, there's
Yeah.
uh, a few years ago, people were so pissed off that NATO was making all the rules about going to war, and the generals would go up there and say, okay, well, if the we'll make the decisions and then we'll come with you. We'll come to you for a permission. Well, they're not even asking permission anymore. They're just doing it, and no one seems to care. Um, Not even the alternative media seems to realize that we're in all these wars, but Congress hasn't declared war on anybody. Totally weird.
Well,
And
I mean,
there's no
doesn't it
rule of
just?
law.
Oh, well, that's the bottom line. The bottom line is there is no rule of law, and without that, you've got no country. Absolutely not. I mean, the people who your average person is still today being brainwashed in their little government grade school about how the United States judicial system and the legal system and the court system is this great holy grail of truth, justice, and the American way, Superman, da da da, and
Yeah,
it's just
it's not even
horrible what
close to
they're.
that anymore.
It's practically the opposite.
Yeah. Um,
And
I saw a little thing on Facebook. Um, just one of these little pictures that someone posted or whatever, and it was from I think Business Insider, so reputable. And this picture showed the United States, and each state had a top employer posted on it.
uh,
And in the I wish I had that picture, but in the headline it said the biggest employers in America, and it had every icon on the United States. So, like Illinois was State Farm, or Washington was Microsoft, the biggest employer in the state. Well, in the headline it said the biggest employers in the country are government and college universities.
uh,
Everything else is out the door. The private sector, like you and I'm not sure where you work, but I'm self-employed, um, struggling, whatever you want to call it.
right.
Um, there's no opportunity for anybody anymore. Am I going to go work to the government? No, they're not going to allow me to step my. They're not going to allow me to go work for the government. I'm, you know, uh, they're not
Well,
going to let me indoctrinate any students either.
no, I mean the one thing that I think that is the most that would be a good topic right now. I mean, in my mind, for the past 10 years or more, the most likely outcome from everything that's been going on, particularly since the '08 financial crisis and all the stuff that's gone on since then, is a hyperinflation. And I
Yeah.
still believe that hyperinflation is the most likely outcome.
Wow.
These people come up with deflation half the time. I start laughing. I go, please, just show me a couple things that are deflating in price, and I'll be happy to, even think about your side of the argument. But unless you're talking about, iPhones that cost less, or the computer that costs less because you get more stuff in it and all sort of stuff, everything costs more, from a postage stamp to a loaf of bread to insurance to there's just nothing that costs less anymore. Everything is going up like crazy. Now we get reports of things going up like crazy in price, and in the press they just ignore it. Absolutely ignore these stories.
But
and the average person. Go
here's
ahead.
my take on it. You know Max Kaiser?
Oh yeah,
Well, he coined a phrase called shrinkflation. Are you familiar with that term?
shrink inflation. I missed that.
Well, shrinkflation is when you go to the
Oh, I know
store.
what it's gonna be. I know what you're gonna tell me. I know what you're gonna tell me. But go ahead.
When you go to the store and you pick up a box and it's the same price as last week, but you get 10% less of product. Uh,
Exactly.
uh, um, I think Max Kaiser coined it, or someone was writing a book about it, and I saw an interview about it. Well, shrinkflation, that's been happening uh, for 18 months. Yeah, let's call it 2 years. You know,
Oh yeah.
the manufacturers are putting less Visine in the bottle. You know, less potato chips in the bag.
Right.
Um, less weight for the price. You know, whatever. The dog food even. Everything across the board. You get less product for the price. But the thing is about shrinkflation, you can only hide it for so long. Well, now we find out the CPI came out, and there is going to be inflation. And then all of a sudden, the government comes out and says, "Oh, be prepared for inflation." So not only are we getting less product, but now we have to pay more prices for less product. So before there was the same price because they were trying to hide it, but now they can't hide it because the CPI has gone through the roof. Chicken has gone up 12% for the year. Hamburger has gone up 60%. Um, you can go down the line and just crazy. And
Yeah. The input the product the product inputs for all these different companies have been going up like crazy, and they've done exactly what you said. Do you remember a restaurant chain in California called In-N-Out Burger?
oh yeah, I ate there all the time. I would love to eat a hamburger from there right now. And then,
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Back when
okay.
I was in college, we would go out, on Thursday night for a, In-N-Out Burger run,
Oh
and
yeah,
those burgers were big.
hell yeah.
You go there now, and they're half the size.
Oh, that's horrible.
They're
Well,
they've shrunk and shrunk and shrunk.
well, I know the problem though because originally it was a family-owned business, and I think some family members died, and they had to decide what they're going to do. Where before they didn't want to expand outside of Southern California, where now they've become this big corporation and probably hired a shrink inflation expert. So I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Well,
But
regardless,
you can still get the 4x4.
I never had that.
You should try it. It's awesome.
But my point is that they're able to, the last 24 months or something, they're able to keep the price the same, but the
Yeah,
hamburger size just keeps shrinking and shrinking.
exactly. But see,
They don't want to. They don't want
now they can't hide the fact they can only go so far with that little idea. So inflation for the past 2 years has been creeping, creeping, creeping. Products are becoming less and less and less. Prices have stayed the same, hiding it. But now inflation has gotten so bad, they can't hide it anymore, and then prices are going to inflate. And
well,
it's
it's
going to get a lot worse from here because they can't hide the product shrinkage anymore.
no. My wife said this. She said, "Oh, pretty soon we're going to be getting sliders at In-N-Out."
Yeah. Oh my God. They'll give you more French fries to hide the fact.
Yeah,
They'll
exactly.
they'll they'll, they'll still fill you up, but you're only going to get a slider, but a basket of fries. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure the cost of potatoes is going up big time too.
well, not as much as hamburger.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
chicken and hamburger. I mean, those are the staples. That's what I have in my fridge.
Yeah, well, that's
Um,
what most people do for sure.
so they know what they're doing. But CPI, I guess inflation. Shadow Stats, John Williams came out and said real inflation last year was at like 7%.
Right.
And the government says what? We can do the three-factor rule here again. It's perfect.
Exactly. I mean, they keep putting it out at under 2%, somewhere 1.5
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Inflation is under control. When this goes on for 50 years, it's not in control. Um, this has gone way out of hand.
Well, I mean, you and
And
I know this is happening. I don't know, what does the average person do when when the government or the TV, the TV screen is going, or the news show is saying, well, inflation's at 1.8%, and then the person just got back from the grocery store and the gas
yeah,
station, and they're saying, my God, I mean, it's up by at least 10%. What are they talking about? So I mean, how does what is that cognitive dissonance or something, whatever it is? We're trying to hold two opposing thoughts in your head at the same time.
but this is when you get outside the box and go take a critical thinking class.
Yeah. Well, and the real problem is, Rusty, is that you look at Washington, D.C. and Wall Street, and these people are living in a huge bubble where they
Yeah,
could care less if the price of hamburger goes up 50%. What do they care?
yeah,
And they may not even know it.
yeah. I know the
It's
avocados are getting smaller too for the same price.
oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm in Arizona and a little kind of too chilly for avocado trees in the winter. I
Uh,
wish I had an avocado tree. I miss that.
yeah, they're all over the place here.
Yeah, I bet. You can send me a box if you want.
I I don't know. I used to know people who grew them, uh, and I lost touch with him. He was an old libertarian guy because I
Yeah,
used to hang out with the libertarians quite a bit. And but it's it's somewhat seasonal still, I guess. I mean, that's why they bring in stuff from Mexico part of the year,
yeah,
and then you get these advertising campaigns. Don't buy, buy American and stuff. And you're like, well, you're not going to get avocados year round if you want to do that. So
yeah. Everything's coming from Mexico, and they still put that DDT on the fruit and vegetables too. So
yeah,
they're trying to kill us fast and slow, fast and slow.
fast and slow. Anyhow, these are the these just the regular. I mean, I don't know how they. Here's the deal: if they can run deficits without any consequence, which is what they're doing. Did you hear recently that England has now like $1 billion a week that they're printing to pay interest? It's at
Yeah.
$1 billion a week, and this stuff compounds. It's going to go up. I mean, where's the tipping point for all this? The problem is if they can print money without any consequence, they don't have to tax people, to make up these deficits. At least in the United States, they don't have to do it anymore. Uh, it's all going to spill over into inflation. And these people, they're not dumb, but I really question whether or not they think hyperinflation is possible. Because I think it's completely possible.
Oh, it's possible. What they're going to try to do right now, though, is they're going to raise inflation so they can try to pay for the debt. But we're so far in debt, there's no way.
There's
So
no
what's
way.
going to happen is there's going to be a collision, as something's going to crack in the system, and then all of a sudden, hyperinflation. And what they're going to do is print more and more and more, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
just it's going to compound, and that's what they're doing now, though. I mean, they're speculation is they went to Belgium and had a secret account and had the Belgians pay for our treasury bonds, which is our debt. Um, and the only other buyer out there is the Federal Reserve,
Yeah,
and their
I mean,
their balance sheet is over $4 trillion in 4 or 5 years. What is going on? No one's Can
well,
anyone
I
see the writing on the wall?
I think what's going on is, like you said earlier in the Hangout, that they're able to keep shifting money around and keep people distracted enough still. But there's going to become a point where something is going to happen, and that's for a lot of, I do agree with Rickards quite a bit on something is going to be the needle that pricks the balloon, if you want, or the snowflake that lands on the mountainside, and we don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen.
Well,
And
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The end game for them is, and this is what we talked about Rickards. The end game is let's just destroy everything, and then come out as the saviors and be like, oh, we have a solution, and the solution is the same system but from the IMF, all from a central hub for the world. That's the end game for these guys.
well, I'm hopefully, believe it or not, I'm rooting for the BRIC countries to totally screw that idea up.
Oh, there's
And
a
it will,
there's a coalition. You know who Karen Hudis is?
yeah,
The whistleblower from the International Monetary Fund. She was a lawyer,
right,
20-year lawyer for the IMF. She
right.
came out and said, this is wrong. The balance sheets don't match up. You're committing fraud for the whole world. And now she's out there as a whistleblower trying to free humanity. And I guess she said there's 188 countries in a coalition to stop these psychopaths. And you can call them the New World Order, the Illuminati, or the Rothschilds, or whoever you want to call them, the Jewish state. I don't know what you want to call them. But these people are, the George Soros, the Bilderbergers, whoever they are, there's a coalition to stop these people and taking over the world through credit and debt is what they're doing. So
Well,
hopefully,
the
hopefully we can
yeah, I
stop
mean,
these people.
I don't, well, personally, I don't think there's any. I don't know how we're going to stop them. Frankly, I don't. I you it's I'm afraid that it's gone way beyond that point in time where they could be stopped. I mean, everybody has to take responsibility for their own. Uh, make decisions that are going to be for the best for themselves and their family at this point, because you've got every level of local, state, and federal government is all, like you said earlier in the Hangout, they're all against us. It's us against them. So
Oh
there's
yeah.
nobody to really turn to. I mean, I read these stories every now and then about, and you probably do too, about how police forces from coast to coast, have these quotas of arresting people and giving them tickets and all this other stuff just to generate revenue with total disregard for the population, the
Well,
people.
the prison system is the fastest growing in the business in the private sector. So I mean,
Yeah,
everything else in the private sector is dead except for the prison system.
yeah.
What? What? Everything
It
is so bad. I live
well,
in I live in a small town, about 5,000 people, and I got pulled over, um, and whatever I got pulled over for, it is a big scam, like you said. But the guy was militarized with a camera on his eye. Now, what does a local cop in a population of 5,000 people need a camera to monitor And then I, after going through the process with the guy, questions and license and registration. Have you been drinking tonight? No, all this crap. Do you have a gun? Um, After all this crap, I find out that the camera is actually connected to the dispatch, and he's taking orders from somebody else.
Really?
Yeah. Um, what? God. And the guy knew who I was. I knew who he was because we've met before, and he treated me like a criminal because he had to. He was probably from the fusion center on the camera.
Yep.
Just unbelievable. And everything was okay. He was okay with it. I mean, I was like, don't you think that's kind of weird?
Well, it's
Especially
terrible.
because you know who I am.
Yeah. Well, it's so bad, Rusty, that I've heard where uh, these police officers, the traffic guys, they're giving them little tips and hints on how to stop people on real bogus claims, and then when they stop them, they look for other stuff to actually,
Yep.
write a ticket on.
That's exactly what happened. He said I was swerving, but how did he know I was swerving? There was no lines in the road. I mean, this is how small of a town we have. Um,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, so why'd you pull me over again? Because that's a lie.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, unfortunately, the small towns and the cities. I mean, everybody but the federal government has to get their money from the hide of the people who they uh, rule over.
yeah.
So it's not like the federal government's got their ticket, their free pass, if you will, just because they just print the money now, whatever they need.
Yeah, I guess for a few minutes now we've had a viewer. I don't know who it is, but um, they've been listening for a while. It's probably our good old friend, the postal man with the new issued 45 with the hollow points.
Yeah. Is there any way for you to ID these people
uh,
who?
no, whoever it is, I don't. It doesn't bother me. It's just because that's what we're here to have a hangout. But
Right, of course.
I guess if they wanted to come in, I'm not sure how it works. That's why I posted on the live broadcast that this is a test because I really don't know how this is all going to work out. But I
So
guess
you're the moderator.
we can have up to 100 uh, people interacting though, and that's crazy.
Is that on the video part or just the chat part or what?
The whole thing.
Okay.
100 people can pop their head in here and interact. So
I think only you see them on your screen.
yeah, I think there's an option. There must be an option just to view and an option to interact. I'm not sure. I have to look into
Okay.
it.
Okay.
But anyways, whoever it is, hope you hope you enjoy it. You've been there for a while. Um, so
They might have left.
what else is going on out there? I mean,
Well, I mean, I think the world is so confusing right now because there's so many things going on, and almost all of them are negative. That you have to kind of keep your eye on the big picture, or you really will get confused. Um, and that at least that's how I pretty much address stuff. And one of them is what is the macro economy going to be doing over the next 6 months to 12 months? And, as you said earlier in the hangout, we were expecting something to hit the fan last year, but it didn't quite
right?
happen.
Yeah.
And I think we're now that every week and month that goes by, we're literally that much closer to the point in time when the system just can't, continue. It's just a matter of it's mathematics. It's going to happen, and it's very difficult for us, for people like ourselves who've been expecting something to happen. I mean, I frankly, I don't wish this is going to happen. It's just so inevitable. I have to protect myself. It's going to be pretty bad. I mean, it's going to be really bad. But I can't really tell you exactly how it's all going to come down. I mean, I think it's going to be hyperinflation, and I think that 99% of the people are not going to be prepared for that.
No, not at all.
And I don't think they don't even have a clue as to how to prepare if they even thought it was going to happen. So you've got all sorts of different layers of this problem for people to find a way to deal with it. But it's going to be a shocker. I don't know if it's going to start on Monday and then by Friday people's bank accounts are going to be locked, or how the government's going to deal with that. But you can look at all these other countries, from Venezuela to Argentina to Brazil, to places in Europe that people have been screwed there, and the people in the United States just kind of go around in this funny haze that don't think that anything that they could find going on anywhere else could ever affect them. How's that for brain?
It's called the decadence of America.
Yeah, it's really a shame. Did you hear that Italy was going to be adding cocaine and prostitution to their GDP? Cocaine sales, prostitution, and mafia activity to their GDP, just to get it to boost it a little bit.
Just to make it look good.
Well, then I heard somebody say, "Well, how are they going to measure that?" And then somebody else said, "Well, their customers are everybody in the government, so they should probably have a pretty good guesstimate."
That's awesome. Well, we've been talking for a while. I don't even know how long.
About an hour.
I want to just go over the charts.
Okay.
Gold and silver, real quick. And to me, it does not look good. And the reason why it doesn't look good is, all right. So we talked about this. The Germans can't get their gold. The Austrians just came out and said, "Well, we want to see if our gold is there."
Yeah.
In the London Bank. The Germans couldn't get their audit from the New York Fed, and the Austrians just came out and said, "Well, we want to see if our gold is over there at the London banks." Well, this is all an attack on the derivatives that are being held against the price fixing. So we've talked about this. I think ultimately the COMEX is going to default because there's the Shanghai Gold Exchange is coming into play. They just applied to um, markets outside their own locality, because right now the Shanghai Gold Exchange is only trading within that area. I'm not sure what that area is, but the silver fix is ending. Deutsche Bank is being sued. Derivatives galore. The CFTC said, there's 100 contracts to 1 ounce, and we can just use that factor of 3 and say, there's probably 300 contracts to 1 piece of gold, 1 ounce of gold. So what I'm seeing on the charts lately is just a real. Let me just share my. Tell me. Oh, jeez. What's going on here? Tell me you can see my screen. Huh. Okay. Okay, so you see yourself, right?
Yeah.
All right, see my screen then?
Yeah.
All right, so here we have gold, and this is the longer term time frame, the monthly chart. Now I like to keep it simple. Nothing on here but a bunch of candles. But they've been in the past. I thought it was gonna explode right around here. We almost hit my goal of 1400, but not quite. It backed off, and now it's tanking again. Our last line of defense is around 1200, and that's only
Right.
$50 away.
Right.
Now, um, okay, my screen stopped for a second. All right, in that sense, if we can take a look at this longer term, and each bar is a month. So all of May, this is what happened, this last bar, and it does not look good. Our last line of defense is about this 1200 mark, and then we're down to 1000. Now, what I'm getting at is because the COMEX is so over leveraged with paper contracts that they are probably going to just hyperinflate this market, tank the price so they can cover their shorts. Um, because what's going to happen? Okay, they're going to get slapped on the wrist um, for manipulating the gold and silver markets, but they make $1 trillion on the deal, but they only get fined, 50 million. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
There's no reason why they're not going to tank this paper market. Now, I always say that make sure you understand that this is a paper market. The physical market is a whole nother monster. High demand. People are hoarding. China's taking in 4 tons of gold per day. It is phenomenal what's going on in the physical market. But this market is a paper market, papered over with derivatives, probably 300 to 1. What do you think about that?
Um, I think you've analyzed it pretty closely. I think the 1200 is uh, it needs to find if it goes down to 1200, which would technically be obviously in the cards if it can find a bottom there and start rising from there. That would be the best case scenario right now for people who are holding, looking for higher prices. Obviously, we are now, as far as I can tell, in both silver and gold, underneath the production price on an average basis. And these, if they're going to literally take the price down in the paper markets even further, I mean, if you want to talk about silver, $25 maybe would be average production cost, and it's now at 18 and a half or 19. It's they can't keep it down there for very long. I mean, the supply is going to be uh, just crushed.
Well,
And
remember what happened last summer when silver got crushed like 10, 12% overnight. Remember that? And it hit 1850 low.
yeah,
The paper price separated from the physical price from the dealers. Remember that
right,
part? I
yes,
think that's going to happen again. So what I'm seeing right now is a lackluster trading environment in the COMEX that I think smart traders have left the market and are unwilling to trade in this market because the the paper contracts are stacked against them.
yeah, okay, makes
Um,
sense.
I think that they are going to tank this price. One more, they're going to tank it like for good, like a last gung ho. Let's just go out with a bang, kind of a. I think they're going to tank it, and then all of a sudden, people are going to wake up and be like, um, the silver and gold comics market is just a sham. No one's going to trade it any longer. And I think that we're seeing that now. I think they're going to tank both prices, and they're just going to flood the market with paper. I think I see it coming.
Hmm.
But then again, it's just a paper price. So overnight, I think we're going to have to look to the Shanghai Gold Exchange, which is backed by actual gold and silver, physical, and then the game is going to be totally changed overnight. Well, I think one of the analysts wasn't Jim Sinclair, but it might have been Jim Sinclair. Anywho, someone said overnight you're going to see 3,000 gold price with no bid because it's going to be actual priced by the physical market. This is all priced by derivatives. It's a sham. Everything's just a joke.
Well, I mean, the reason. Let's just be clear as to why this is possible. It's possible because, uh, the regulating authorities don't enforce any
No.
rules that exist.
Yep.
So as you said earlier in the Hangout, we have no rule of law left in the West. And I'm talking
No.
about, in this case, United States, England, the two major players right now. They don't enforce the rules. There's no rule of law. It's completely fraudulent and it's completely criminal activity. And this is what you're up against when you've got criminals running the asylum or just running things in general, and the police are part of their team. Then bingo. And it's not like these guys are out doing stuff that's even legal,
No.
and so it's worse than that. What it is it's a microcosm of the state of the world, the state of the West right now. So you may be right. They may shove it down all the way to 1,000, and that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back in terms of this, the comics and everything else. I can't imagine it would be down there for more than an hour or two.
Look how dangerous this chart, a monthly chart on silver looks.
Yeah.
This is, I can see this thing going to 15. I mean, this is, we're on it's a tether edge. It's very tethered. It's hit this, support over and over and over again. And look what happened today. For the month, this is a monthly chart again, but look at what happened on a weekly chart. We just got pummeled, and it's
Yeah.
still hanging. It's still hanging on a tether. The final, I think, the final support is 1867 and a half. This is this little double bottom right here on the weekly chart. These two little candles. That right there, that's it. And it touched it and backed off. But look, what do they do on Sunday nights when no markets are open?
Yeah.
What do you think they're going to do? It's going to be another disaster.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah, I can't even argue with you what you're saying there. I mean, it's completely. The charts are the only ones that are worth looking at are the long-term charts, like monthlies, I think, and even they are total BS in terms of giving you a picture of reality. Uh,
Hmm.
it's, you
Yep.
know what I'm saying, but uh, so the world we're living in is upside down here now. If the if they do this, what's another interesting thing to think about is that I think I did my own personal study about 2 years ago, and every year since 2000, except for one, I believe I found, the price of gold in this case bought never went below like July, the price that was had on July 20th. And now we've got about a month and a half, I guess. I'm thinking maybe longer than that, 2 months, a little bit less than 2 months till that point in time. Um, the summer's a notoriously bad, weak time for precious metals. Um, and that July 20th date, I think it's July 20th, it might be July 10th. I have to go back and see if I can find my notes. But what the deal was is that after that point in time during the year, the price of gold never went below it. So I guess what I'm trying to come up with here is that if they do this, it seems like this window between now and mid-July might be a time when they try this.
Right.
Not November, December, or
No.
the last quarter for sure.
Well,
But they might go
The
ahead.
London fix is done in August. The silver fix.
Yeah.
So I think between now and then they are gonna just really have a last push because they're all short. Everyone's short. The mainstream media, oh, gold is going down. Gold is worthless. Because go buy the S&P. It's at its new highs. Um, just a bunch of crap. It's just papered over with funny money, and I think they're because it's so bad that this summer is going to be the end of it, and they're going to print as much as they can to get away with, make as much money as they can, go to court because they're going to be in trouble for it, and then get a slap on the wrist for um, a tenth of what they actually made. So,
Oh yeah.
and
Um,
this is the this is the same thing they do over and over again. They do this all the time.
but what you're saying is a good point. I think that this really might be the last time,
That
because
they
if you
can.
connect the dots with the fix being called on the carpet for being completely manipulated and fraudulent, that maybe this is going to be the swan song. And like you said, I mean, the risk reward of doing this is fantastic.
Oh yeah. The
On top of it, you could
pharmaceutical, the
probably
pharma, every corporation in America does this little game because uh, I mean I can talk for another 2 hours about why they do such a thing because they get away with it every time. There's no one held accountable. They get someone slapped on the wrist to show that someone cares when it's to tell us what we want to hear. Oh yeah, they got in trouble for not doing it right, but the company made 100 times of what they actually got fined for, and it's just what I don't know.
it's super. The risk is super low because they have in their back pockets the regulators and the courts. So what's the big fear here?
There isn't, and I think that's why we should expect them to do it.
Well, I'm coming over to your thinking, which I hadn't really done that part of the process yet. That
They're
uh,
gonna crash. They're gonna crash the prices, and it's going to backfire. Every one of these little schemes that is going on, it backfires because um, the work that goes into making an ounce of gold, you know, the 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 monetary value of it, the actual tangible value of it, is a lot greater than what they're telling us on paper. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And the game is coming to an end of us believing the actual price of gold. One piece
Well,
of gold or
I just
one ounce.
and I just thought of something even worse in terms of nastiness in your theory here, and that is that if gold, I always point to gold and silver, particularly gold, obviously, as showing that there's no inflation, right? So if
Right.
they slam the price down to 1,200, they get to
Yeah,
point to that and say, "Oh my God, we got to print
the,
money like crazy."
the dollar's fine. We can print all we want. What?
They will There won't be any blowback from anybody if gold has been just cut its knees out again,
Yeah.
and and so it's like a perfect scenario now that you think about it. Slam gold, the economy still sucks big time, and they need to print like crazy. So now they've got the hall pass again to do that.
Right. I think they're going to attempt it. I think, but like I said, it's going to backfire. We'll still see hyperinflation, just like John Williams says. The
Yeah.
CPI numbers have already turned over. They already revised the GDP growth of 0.1%. Um, yeah, it's just,
Well,
and the
the
media
one
is like,
thing
oh, everyone's short on gold. You got to jump on the train and.
the yeah, the interesting thing that you said earlier that I'm thinking back on is how there might be a huge disconnect between physical and paper prices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not sure how to monitor that without calling your one of the big coin shops, because what happened last time this we had a big smash is that I'm pretty sure, I don't know for fact, but my guess is that a lot of these coin shops, particularly the medium and small ones, they just stopped selling. They had them, but they weren't selling because it was too low.
No, they'd sell them at the right price.
Yeah,
I I
but they
I remember $6 premiums. Um, Remember we looked over prices. I remember $6 to $7 premiums on an ounce of American Eagles, and
silver.
and still in the regular physical market right now as we speak, the premiums keep creeping up. They the demand is so high, especially for gold. Um, I'm I'm amazed that the comics is even in business still. What this thing is so well, whatever. Everything's so bad. I don't know. Everything's so oh jeez.
Well,
It's
I think
mind-boggling
that's
how everything's all messed up. It's crazy.
well, it is, and they're only able to do it. There's only one reason they're able to do it, and that's because they can print money with the touch of a button. If they couldn't do that, everything would have been over by now, because
Yeah.
people are not going to be taxed 100%, because that's what they would have to do, is tax everybody at 100%. So if you don't need to do that, then you get to be Rome, late stages of Rome. You get to do that. You get to just do whatever you want.
Right. Um.
So the
It's
way to monitor this, Rusty, is to watch the premiums on websites or whatever, for where your favorite internet
uh.
gold.
Yeah. But here's the other thing to look at is go look at try to find Singapore gold prices. Now I know they're a lot higher than here. The premiums are so high in places like Hong Kong and Singapore. Um, because China is hoarding every single ounce, and every time the price goes under 1,300, they buy more. They've increased the buying. Yeah, have you seen
Yeah.
the videos in China where everyone is lined up at the out the door buying gold from the local dealer? It's crazy. Here, we're like, oh well, everything's fine. I got this little piece of paper, and I'm gonna go buy my groceries. China's
Yep.
like, it's like mandatory. You better go buy some gold. We're
Well,
so
it's
we're so in trouble, man.
yeah. The I mean, I don't think people even realize that the United States has had, a couple failures of its currency before. They don't even know that. So that
No.
whole consciousness is gone. In China, they have a collective consciousness of paper money, going to zero several times, and they're not surprised in the least that it might happen again. People in Germany, as you said, know it. People in Argentina know it every 5 years.
Yeah.
And
The BRICS
they've
nation,
been
the
relying
BRICS
on fear.
nations are recruiting Argentina. Did you know that?
Recruiting.
Yeah, the Argentina is going to be the next member. I'm pretty sure the next member of the BRICS nations.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's it's easy to recruit when you know that paper money fails, right?
Yeah. Well, they know. They know.
Oh yeah, we
And
don't
they're, and
know
they're,
yet.
and they're pardon me.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
Do you think Canadians have a better clue than the United States citizens?
Um, well, I know that the Canadian dollar is in better shape, but uh, if the Western banking system goes down, Canada's going along with it. So
Oh yeah.
um, I'm not. I'm pretty sure that they're about as clueless as we are, but uh, and I know they don't have any gold reserves. And whether or not the United States has any gold reserves, that is crazy too. To think that these bankers have actually raided. Um,
Hello. Hang on one second, sweetie. I had to answer a telephone call. Sorry about that.
that's all right, man.
Um, I still got to finish this up with a phone call. Hang on one moment.
Well, we can tie it up if you want.
Sweetie. Are you done with your- I'm just finishing up the video. Um, I would believe it, but I can do it if you want me to. I think we should be okay. So I can make. Okay, that's fine. Rusty,
Yeah,
sorry about that.
that's all right. We can tie it up. We've been talking for a while, so.
Yeah, I didn't I had no choice on that. Um, no, I think we went over a lot of interesting topics, and it's all that information that you and I are talking about is out there, and you know as you know, and as I read somewhere recently, for everybody to understand what's going on, you have to read a lot and spend a lot of time finding out what's going on. It just doesn't come into your head while you're sleeping.
Right? That's unless you read the Demons and Angels book. But whatever. I
I'm
learn
like,
economics by osmosis, so it just comes to me.
well, Oh, okay. There you go. Um, and somehow you're not a Keynesian. That's pretty good.
Somehow, yeah. Uh, I had an economics teacher in college. He was uh, he was Filipino, and he couldn't say hamburger. And every topic was about hamburger supply and demand, opportunity cost, and all this crap. And he couldn't say hamburger, but his all his examples were of hamburgers.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he called it. To this day, this is 20 years ago. Uh, yeah, close to, I don't know, 22 years ago. Hamburg, Hamburg,
Amber. Oh my gosh.
Hamburg. And he couldn't say it. To this day, I remember that guy. And he was a total Keynesian. I mean,
Oh
the
yeah.
brainwashing was in full swing in college.
Well, you know what the crime is? They're still teaching the Keynesian
Yeah.
economic models.
Everything's going to be fine. We just got to print our way out of it.
Well, but what they've done with the gold price smash and everything else is they've proven that it doesn't matter if you print money
Yeah.
because, my God, look at the gold price. That would be telling us if we were printing too much. But
Well,
the,
like
the
I
big
said,
lie is that,
if you really want to know the real prices of gold and silver, you got to go to the Asian markets.
I
Because
think you're right.
it's different. It's just it's fundamental to understand that by printing money, hand over fist, devalues the currency and it buys less. Every time you print, it buys less. So then we have inflation. And then when it gets
Well,
out of
I mean,
hand, it gets hyperinflation when there's no control at all. Right now, they're trying to control inflation, which is impossible. Um,
well, they think that they can control inflation with raising interest rates, but they can't do that
because
because
we have too much
because
debt.
too
Yeah.
much debt. They've got too much debt, and everything in the entire Western world is priced off the 10-year note, and everything would crater in about 2 months if they let the interest rates trade freely. So they've totally screwed themselves, but they're able to continually play musical chairs somehow. I mean, they're 12 months further
Well,
along than I ever thought they'd be able to get.
well, what I think the end, like I said, the end game is collapsing the dollar and moving, and so they intentionally collapse the dollar. So then they turn around and be the saviors and be like, "Oh, we got the solution. It's the perfect solution to our problems." And here comes the IMF with the SDRs backed by they call it the basket of currencies. It's just it's coming, and I don't think people understand how far in the hole that we are, and how other countries are looking at it. It's like, you are not good people. You are ruining the whole world's currencies by printing money like this, like madmen. They're psychopaths. Oh,
Well, I totally agree. I mean, it's I don't know what Kool-Aid they're drinking together, but they're drinking it. And
they're drinking
it's
a lot
because,
of
like
it.
you said, it's been a thorough 30-year brainwashing, strategy that's completely worked. And there's been a lot of, uh, you know, books written and papers written about how to do it, and then they did it. And it's. But what's more interesting is the short term here. I mean, I think we can only really see into the future probably 6 to 12 months with any kind of clarity. But with that chart you pulled up just recently on the gold and silver, I think that your scenario is probably the most likely one, unfortunately. What bouncing off there is, bouncing off 1200 or bouncing off, 19. is the best case scenario right now. But it's not the likely one, I'm afraid.
No, not for a paper market.
No.
Um, Now, I want to make sure everyone understands. Do not sell your physical gold and silver because the physical gold and silver is in high demand, low supply, and therefore a very good opportunity. Because the paper price is going to go to zero, its intrinsic value. Um, it doesn't mean sell your precious metals. It means buy more because the opportunity is there. So I want to make sure everyone understands the difference. Um,
Oh yeah.
and
I mean,
it,
if you called up some, if you tried to buy it at 1,200 or $15 silver or $1,200 gold, you probably won't be able to find it at that price at all.
well, here's the
As you
thing:
said, the premiums.
when the dollar actually finally goes to its intrinsic value of zero, it doesn't matter how much gold and silver you're holding. I mean, I've got this backwards. It doesn't matter the price of gold and silver. It's only going to matter if you have any,
Yep.
because the paper price is meaningless, absolutely meaningless.
Well, yeah, and if you tell people that since 1913, at the creation of the Fed, that the dollar is worth 98% of that value now, they look at you like you're a monkey or you got three heads or something. It doesn't. It means nothing to them.
You go to you go to college and oh, I don't know. People are. I am amazed how retarded people are. It is not that hard to figure out. I really sincerely believe that this is not brain surgery.
Well, I'll
Uh,
tell you why they behave that way, because people behave. They've got two major motivating factors, and you know what they are. It's fear and greed, and they have no fear right now. They and I remember back in the late 70s and 80 and 81, end of the last true bull market in gold. There was some greed going around
oh yeah.
to buy stuff at that point. But at that point, what was interesting, it was about 10% of the population in the United States. It wasn't a lot of people. But the fear factor will only come into play in this country, I'm afraid, when they see hyperinflation and they see big chunks of their purchasing power go away in a short period of time. Because it's just that they need to feel pain.
Did you
And
did you see the last interview with SGT Report and Peter Schiff?
no.
Um, Peter Schiff came out with this little. It's going to be a slogan, a catchphrase. When in the past you can get 6 to 7% on your bank CDs, and inflation is at 2 or 3%, you are ahead of the game. All right.
Right?
Now you can only get a 0.5% on that same CD, but inflation is at whoever you talk to. I'm going to stick with John Williams because he's always right. Um, even with the government's numbers at 2%, you are losing money by having money in the bank. You cannot win that way. You are losing money, and after taxes, you are losing a lot of money. The only solution is to buy gold and silver. It protects you. It gets you off this little credit system. You have a personal gold standard with capital controls. It's if people would realize this, Peter Schiff said, tomorrow, the next day, the gold prices will explode. They will be in the stratosphere because everyone's going to be like, "Oh my God! If I put money in the bank, I lose money." Oh, so what do I do?
Well,
Oh, you need to buy tangible assets. Oh, Oh,
Well, but I'll give you the counter argument to that. The entire financial industry of the United States runs on fiat money.
oh yeah.
Uh, the they to a man and woman, they all hate, dislike, and have no clue about what gold and silver can do for something because they don't make any money recommending or selling or using it, right? And they'll pull out a chart of gold and look and tell their client, look at the volatility in this baby. You cannot afford to be buying gold. And look at silver, it's even worse. So they will try to get them into an oil ETF or something else that will supposedly protect people from inflation.
The Myra.
And yeah, well, jeez. And
Let's force people to buy treasury bonds.
well,
No, wait. This is. I gotta say something here. This is so retarded how they come up with this little scenario. All right, so the treasury bonds are issued, and it pays for our debt, and we go into debt, and we pay interest on that debt, and then we this is how we live in this fiat world. So they're coming out with this little Myra to force people to buy treasury bonds to save for their retirement. Well, how retarded is this? Um, that we're forcing people to buy the debt which we already spent. What?
well, from the perspective from the perspective of the political elite, they think it's genius.
Oh yeah, it's real genius. Oh my
I mean,
God,
they
we're
think
in so
it's
much trouble.
well, it's as I think one of the interviews. You may not have seen it with Rickards. The conclusion is these events are coming faster and faster, and I think
Yeah,
that's what we're things are speeding up in terms of the financial gears, flying off and not working, and it's not going to take. Something is going to uh, happen.
yeah.
It
It's
could
not
be
gonna
something
take
that
much.
no, it's going to take
It,
hardly anything.
it actually could be as simple thing as a COMEX default, is what I'm suggesting.
Oh,
And I think it's
it could.
I think it's going to happen real soon. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're sooner there. We're closer to it today than we were 12 months ago. There's no question about that.
Hmm.
And the way these people operate, as we talked about earlier, they have no fear of getting caught or anything. And when you don't have that, the kind of tricks that they can pull out of their bag are somewhat amazing. And so we will see. I mean, we still got the COMEX. What was the crazy things they did? Like margin requirements, ratcheting those things up as the price goes up.
Yeah.
They haven't had to worry about that for 5 or 6 years,
I think
or at least
I think they raised them for a while, then lowered them recently.
yeah. Well, I don't know.
I don't trade it anymore. I don't pay attention anymore because it's not real.
No, but I mean they've even pulled that out of the playbook or the bag of tricks to stop any kind of big advances, and they figured. I guess they really kind of they're beyond that. They just dump $500 million worth of contracts in 5 minutes on
Split
Sunday night.
seconds, yeah.
You don't need to do anything else if you're going to do that. So it's, but you're right. It's going to be a default. I mean, frankly, how do you envision the default happening? Who's taking? You mean default? What you're talking about is failure to deliver, I guess. Who is taking delivery off COMEX right now?
Even uh, uh, you got to go much deeper. If London and the New York Fed are out of gold, the COMEX is literally in default already. And the stories go on the street that the London banks are down to the last ounce. And when the Germans can't get their gold from the New York Fed, where did it go? And why is the COMEX fixing the price when there is no gold anywhere? Um, they should not. The thing is, with all these scenarios, the COMEX should not be in existence. It is a fantasy. And if the Western banks don't have any more gold and China's taking it all, and another scenario is the elites are setting up base in China because we are coming to the limits, to the threshold of being overtaxed and unproductive. We're not productive anymore. We don't have any manufacturing. We're overtaxed. Everyone is tapped out. So that the story goes on the street that the elites are setting up base in China and basically just sending all the gold over there so that they can take advantage of the billion people that they have over there. It's probably more than a billion people now. So
Yeah, I think the Chinese should shoot all the Wall Street guys as they get off the plane.
that very well that might happen. These people are. I mean, if they take the dollar, where are they going to have their home base? The story on the street is it's going to be in China because they have a billion people of productivity and taxes to be taken from. These people have been doing this for centuries, and they might as well just try to keep doing it. I don't know what's going to happen, man. But the dollar is doomed. And the thing is about mathematics, you said earlier, it's mathematically probable that it's going to die soon. The thing is about the mathematics of it is it's exponential. It's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's compounding itself, and it's getting worse and worse. If the wave of the debt is gonna crash. It's like it's not it, you can't prop it up with confidence. There's no gold left. Um, it, it's there's it's just it could happen overnight. That's the thing. It could happen tonight. Tomorrow we won't be able to use our debit cards.
Yeah,
Um,
have you ever looked into this whole the whole idea of Bitcoin?
I have, but there's too many too many holes, and I think the CIA got co-opted it and found a loophole and bankrupt that Mt. Gox exchange. Um, the thing is, it takes energy to mine these things, and with energy costs going up, it's I'm not sure how long it could um, it could it could be sustainable as well. I mean, the fundamentals of it are fun, but you got to look up the definition of what is money, and it's missing a piece of the pie there. It's um, it's a medium of exchange. It has to be accepted throughout the community, and there's one more that it's missing, and I think it's tangibility. Um, because there's too many holes in
Well,
the security. I'm not
that's
sure.
that's that's been my main concern is that it's it in some ways it's it's even Well, it just seems like it can be completely compromised. It seems to me as if I've got
I think it
five,
has been
I've got
compromised. That's the problem.
yeah, and I think that the governments could finish it off anytime they wanted to. Frankly, I don't know why why what reason can somebody give me that the governments can't completely wipe out the whole idea of it anytime they want to?
Well, here's the thing. The smart people have encrypted their bitcoins, so
Yes.
that they're not hackable. Especially the smart ones who have encrypted their own codes. Um, that is the only thing protecting the masses. Like I said, I think that the CIA co-opted Mt. Gox. They found a loophole, um, and I forget the details about the loophole, but apparently every new sale in the Bitcoin exchange, the hashtag could be changed, and then the ownership of that Bitcoin can be transferred. And I think that loophole was administered at one time, and then Mt. Gox got in trouble, had to file for bankruptcy. But these kind of things are these are high-tech criminals, and the only people that I know that hire high-tech criminals to hack such a thing is the CIA. So, uh,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I mean, if five of the biggest countries of the world just colluded to say Bitcoin is illegal, that's the end of it. I would think almost. And all they got to do is say every U.S. corporation can no longer use Bitcoin.
well,
Well, there you
the,
go.
th- the thing is, I don't think they have to spend a lot of time on it because it's not a real big market. It's not a real
But it's
big threat yet at all. So it could be.
but I
Um,
mean that's my point is that uh, I do read people as you probably do who I think Max Kaiser's a big Bitcoin guy.
oh yeah, he became a millionaire with Bitcoin. Not that he wasn't a millionaire already, but
But I
um,
mean he's a big proponent of the whole idea.
oh yeah. Um, well, Max Kaiser is that smart guy that created a system that that the big exchanges use. He's the one of the originators of these systems that um, the the CME, the Nasdaq, the S&P, all these exchanges use his principles that he created years back, and that's how he became so rich. But um, these same people are ruining his work, his genius, and he always talks about it as the 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 banksters, the criminal banksters. He
Well,
despises them now because they ruined his genius. They're taking
mhm.
advantage of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I it's pretty weird. Uh, I mean, Bitcoin. I just wanted to know what your take was on that because uh, I go back and forth whether or not it should have it's worth looking into.
Well, I think an even better idea that hasn't really caught on yet is the actual physical metals debit card. Have you seen this yet?
I've seen it around. Yeah.
Um,
Obviously,
it's
it's not. It'll catch on with much higher prices, probably.
um, much higher inflation for sure.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
I mean, it actually the idea is so awesome. You can actually put yourself on a gold standard, and the way it works is you deposit or you go out to the broker and you buy your gold or silver. And in this case, it's better to buy gold because it's more stable. But it's like me going down to the pawn shop and buying an ounce of gold. And then the next day I come back with that same ounce of gold and I sell it to the broker or the pawn shop uh, for the difference is you buy it at ask and you sell it at the bid. Well, this debit card um, acts in the same way. You deposit money into your account. It's at a set price, at the spot price. Well, there's still a bid and ask. So when you deposit, you're depositing at the ask, but then when you want to spend it, you're spending it on the bid. It acts the same way. So what I'm saying is, you deposit, $10,000 into your debit card, and you can spend it freely. And by having that $10,000 of it's the actual deposit is segregated. Your name's on it. There's a certificate of authenticity. I can't say it, but um, it's your gold. It's held in your name, and you can spend it freely. And it's just such a great idea that you don't have to worry about the banksters coming into your account to steal your paper money. So I think
Well,
it's a
yeah,
great idea. I wish more people were doing it.
I'd heard about it, but yeah, I like your explanation. I hadn't heard the explanation before. I know that I've seen people talk about it 2 or 3 different places, but I knew it wasn't for me quite yet. So
well,
I'll do a little bit more.
I tell you, Colin, I have a couple debit cards that you can purchase from my website.
Ah, ah,
So there you have it.
there we go.
That's my little plug for today.
All right, that means we're toward the end here.
Yeah, we have been talking for a long time, so whenever you're ready to call it quits. I think I can only record up to 2 hours on my YouTube channel, so
I mean, I think we're done. I mean, because we got to leave something for the next time when we hook up, maybe a couple, 3 weeks, whatever you want to do. Yeah, hopefully we will be looking at higher prices rather than lower per your scenario, but I'm not too optimistic now.
no, the charts do not look good.
No, the charts
Uh,
look horrible. They've never looked like they're more ripe for a big puke than right now.
yep. The monthly charts, you can totally tell on the monthly charts. So,
Well, totally. The monthly charts are the ones I told you. The only ones I trusted at all are the monthlies, and they look horrible.
it looks bad. But I tell you what, Colin, I'd like to do this as often as possible. Um, we have to make sure that we don't take too much time because I know I got stuff to do. I know you got stuff to do.
Yeah. So I mean,
Um,
this is a
I'd
Friday.
like to do it for a half an hour,
Yeah.
you know, once a week at least. So,
Why don't we do half an hour once a week? We just need to pick a time that we can both kind of commit to. And
what,
we kind of know that the new Hangout system's working, so even better. Uh,
Friday's good. Evenings. The only day, Colin, the only days I cannot do it is Thursday night and Sunday night.
okay.
Everything else is open for me. So as long as we're consistent, I'm good.
Well, this worked fine, and it should work fine for me for the next couple weeks for sure. If you want to
Okay.
do Friday afternoons, I mean, would you prefer evenings for whatever reason?
Uh, I'd like to get it over with in the before noon. Um,
Before noon's hard for me, but so I mean, but I could
okay.
do the closest I could do something. I mean, the noon or the 1 o'clock I can do as long as I am, know it's going to
Well,
be that day at noon. You want to do next Friday at noon?
let's just keep the same 1 o'clock.
Okay,
That's
Friday
fine with
1 o'clock a
that's
week
fine
from
with me.
now. Okay,
And
let's
then
do it then. We got a date.
I think once we start doing this on a regular basis, I want to spread it out to call Greg Hunter and be like, hey, you want to come hang out with us on Friday at 1 o'clock for a half an hour?
Yeah, we need to get our chops in line in terms of being consistent and good, and so we don't look like we're kind of
Even
rolling.
even your friend Greg
What?
Manarino, aren't you friends with Greg Manarino?
Well, I'm friends with him per a couple meetings, but he's become a big shot since I met him. So I don't know. He's pretty. I mean, for a short interview every now and then, he might be open to it. But I think we do need to put some stuff up that gives us some credibility here. So we do that over a consistent basis, and then we might be able to get some of these
Yeah.
more important people. We need to figure out, as we talked earlier, how to get that third person or whatever. If you're going to do an interview with him, just you and him, then that's fine. You can do that. But you
No,
get
we're
three
allowed to
people.
have up to 100 people in this room.
Okay. The only thing I would mention to you is that your picture and your voice, your audio and picture are not synced. When I speak, is it synced for you?
I think that's always been the case. As long as we can hear each other, I think it's fine. But the
Well,
video has
that's fine.
always been a little delay.
Is that just typical of the Hangouts, you think, or what?
It's the quite literally the broadband connection.
Okay.
If we had better speeds, it would be able to keep up. I think it's doing a great job though.
All right. Well, all I know is that when I speak with other friends on Skype, it's closer to being real time.
Oh well, yeah, I think that's always been the case. Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre to me that Skype, and I thought Skype was just horrible for a while there. It's gotten better. But it's kind of bizarre to me that Google's video chat service would be less effective than Skype, but maybe that's just the case.
Hey, I figured out my little Halo problem.
I noticed that you lost it. What'd you do?
I don't know where this icon came up from, but um, I was on focus, so now I'm on a spot. I'm on a spotlight now, and I'm just gonna put it on original. I don't know where that came from actually.
Okay. What is that? Was that underneath one of the sidebar things?
No, it's actually on the screen.
Oh.
Um, let me. I don't know where it came from, man.
That's okay.
I just noticed it and I clicked on it and I'm like, oh, look at all these options. And I changed one and I was like, oh, I was on focus. Now I'm on. Now I'm on enhanced. Oh well, we'll keep
All
working
right.
on it.
Yeah, we'll be a little bit better next time. But anyhow, nice to talk to you. I'm glad you're live and kicking in Arizona.
Barely. Do you want me to send the link to you so you can put it
Sure.
on your YouTube?
Sure. When you get it all ready to go, send it to me.
I will. All right.
Yeah.
Well, next
All right,
Friday
Wes.
at 1 o'clock, Colin, and
Yeah.
keep it simple. It never is,
Yeah.
but
No, we can try to keep ourselves to the half an hour limit. I think we're going to need to do that. If we're going to do once a week and just 2 or 3 topics and or questions to go over and just be a little bit more more strict on ourselves as far as going and going and going.
well, that's why it's called the Hangout. So we don't have to be. It would be nice to know and to stick to discipline and interview tactics, but we're just hanging out, so it doesn't matter.
I hear you. We'll see if everybody else agrees.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop this thing.